So, do we have a right to education?
In my opinion, education is one of the most important things that we have. I mean, like, your education is with you forever. That can never be taken away. And the fact that our society has puts an importance on that is important. And, public learning institutions are important.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, do you think we should have to pay for education?
So why do I expect free education of a good quality? I think the best way to answer that is by looking at the ideal education system which is seen in Finland, and then taking a look at what it would look like without free education of a good standard, and what the implications of essentially taking a classist approach of saying, you haven't done enough for the society, you haven't paid enough, you haven't done whatever, you don't deserve it.
So to say what I said earlier, I think it speaks to a bigger problem or a bigger issue in the country overall, which is entitlement. And I think youth in this country and people in general feel as if they're entitled on a baseline level.
Go!
Hi, I'm Peyton Basinger. I play the double bass and I'm a freshman in college.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I'm a first year in college.
What do you do?
Bassoon.
So starting with Finland, Finland has the best education system in the world. Britain is good, but it's not to the level of Finland. And the reason for that, there's a number when it comes to like social and psychological, such as creating stress-free environments. You're not tested by national exams or high-stress exams. You're instead evaluated by your teachers.
Does America need free college education?
Yeah, we're all in a lot of debt.
I agree. College is very expensive, and if you do decide to go to college, then there's a good chance you're going to be broke for the rest of your life. So it's a huge thing.
Yeah, I'm already in debt.
And I think because we grow up in a country that gives you a lot of things, and things are cheap and things are accessible, and we get cars, our families have 3 different cars, and washers and dryers and TVs and flat screen TVs and iPhones, and we get a new iPhone every year, things like that, we're expect and we become accustomed to, and in a way not to a fault of our own, getting things for free, or getting things for a cheap price, or just getting things in general.
So what do you think about some of the cons, like as in how are they going to pay for it?
I don't care. I don't want to have to pay for it.
With that, then you have to ask yourself, okay, why does that work? And why does their free education system, with a few scatterings of private schools, work so much better? I think the best answer of that is that everybody's getting a fair education, and from that, you then have a much more able society, and a society that can then give back later on in life through a better educated society and jobs with better people. That's a stupid answer for that, but a better educated system is better.
We can cut.
Okay.
Personally, for me, because of how expensive classes are and how expensive books are, I feel like I would feel better about paying for this stupid school that I go to right now. I want to put it on the record that I hate UNCSA. Put this in the class video.
Kids don't realize that what they're getting is actually so much better than other million kids in other different
Yeah, but there's no
countries.
way of knowing that.
Yeah, and it's like they just go for the sake of going to school. They don't like put any effort or like have any respect for it.
Yeah, and I think that changes from high school or grade school to college. Like you see an extreme shift. Like when I went to college for the first time, and then when I, a year in, I realized how much of a joke high school was because nobody was trying. I wasn't trying. I somehow got into a college and I gave minimal effort. A good college.
I was terrible in school because if I didn't care about the class, I wouldn't do anything. And that's just my truth.
You get A's, I get on the honor rolls. Like the amount of people that are on the honor roll that probably don't, this sounds really bad, but don't deserve to be on there. I probably didn't even deserve to be on there. It's ridiculous.
I think trying to find out whether or not someone deserves a free education is quite possibly the most damning thing you could do to a country. Mainly because then you split up a country. You split up its people into those who deserve to have a fighting chance of success in life compared to those who don't. And those who don't, first of all, who has to make that decision? And second of all, that decision should really not be made in the first place.
And when someone does poorly in school and gets a detention or a suspension, parents get in there and go crazy, and their kids suffer no consequences because of it. Same thing if they get a D or a C on a test. Parents get in there and want to defend their kid so much that it becomes this kid is defended by their parents, whereas in the previous generation, that may not have been the case. My dad and my mom and my grandparents would walk to school, right? And if they failed, and they'd probably move out of the house by 18. Like, the parents just weren't quite as involved in their lives, and that is a good thing and a bad thing. And right now, it's in the education sense, it could be a bad thing because we're so involved, they're so protective of their kids. Their kids suffer no actual consequences, and therefore don't realize it until they get into the real world or college that consequences actually exist.
The education system in America, while not up to par in certain regards to other countries and other first world countries, is still good. I think Britain is 19th on the world scale of test rankings, and America is 25th. And I think like China leads, but obviously, that comes with its own consequences if you adopt that model. But it's not the worst, which is good. It's not the best, and neither is Britain. I think the best model to replicate would be the Finnish model of creating low stress environments for students and also creating free public education for everyone.
What does Canada do?
Hell if I know. I'm not Canadian.
You have to pay for college in Canada. Then is it Europe you do? Like, no, it's
You can't. They cannot put this part in. We're going so uneducated.
Now, obviously, with that comes higher taxes, which in this country is a problem, especially if you're trying to appeal to the Republican Party and the Republican base. But moreover, a lot of the Democratic base also would not like taxes to raise, unless if you adopt the Bernie Sanders model, and similar to Elizabeth Warren, of going after rich billionaires and essentially extracting their fair share of finances through taxes. If you adopt that, then you have a fighting chance of creating a fair and much better education system in the US. In Britain, we have higher taxes, but with that, there's differences. Obviously, we have the NHS, the National Healthcare Services, which creates free public healthcare for everyone, regardless of class, health at all, which is great. And I think the same sort of model can be adopted for education.
Out of the school, Noir families are expecting us, I think, oftentimes to really do well, and I'm a big believer in locally run things and more community level things as opposed to statewide or federal-wide things. That's my personal opinion.
America is obviously no exception. It's not leading in anything apart from mass shootings. Actually, no, that's not true. It's leading in a few other obscure things, but nothing when it comes to healthcare, education. So the US actually leads in, let's see, I got this up on my phone, in reserve currency, in military spending, in arms exports, medical research, technological innovation, artificial intelligence, robotics, media, movies, billionaires, wealth per adult, aerospace and aviation, Olympic sports, higher education. Interesting. So when it comes to things like universities, the higher education institutions are renowned, except when it comes to anything lower education, such as elementary schools, high schools, they fall behind. Dog and cat ownership, roads, beef production, a number of things when it comes to specifics. Healthcare spending per person, it also goes up. I think a free education system would definitely raise the American education system to the same standard as the higher education system standard. I think with a lower education, an improved lower education, we'd all be better suited and set up to creating a far greater economic system and likely political system later on in life, probably like 20, 30 years down the road. I think, there's no bad thing that can come from increasing education, at least when it comes to taxes.
Yeah, and I know like a lot of people are like, where are we gonna get the money? And like a lot of people are like, but there's so much money in like the military, just take it from the military. But then some people are like, but we need that military money. But also, another thing is like, I think it's like Peru, it could not be Peru, but like there's like a country that has like free college, but like it has like the highest dropout rates because like even though it has free college, it didn't solve all their problems because a lot of the problems was in their public schools, and like the middle, high school, and elementary did not set them up for college education properly.
Yeah. So that's the biggest issue is like getting the right education. Sometimes you are not going to get the best education depending on where you live and depending on how much money you have. Even if you do have, I guess, a lot of money, you could still. It's about how you apply your education, really.
Right.
It's about what you do with the information you get.
I think it's also important then, obviously, to be grateful for what we do have. Admitting that while there are areas in the US public education system, just as there are in any public education system, that could be improved, we also have to look back and say, okay, the higher education system, for example, in America is going well. That's one of the best things America has going for it in terms of the world rankings. And we have to take a step back and say, okay, a lot of countries don't have this. I don't think that should detract from us pushing for better. Being grateful for what you have is always a benefit. And without it, we'd face quite a darker route. But not letting that detract from progress is very important.